everybody, it's Tristan Shovels here with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel deck profile. And even if you're just here for the deck list, remember to like, comment, and subscribe because it really makes a difference for the channel. So, today the new Skull Servant support has released in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, primarily White Lord. This card's name becomes Skull Servant while in the graveyard. You can only use each effect of White Lord once per turn. If you have Skull Servant or King of the Skull Servants in your graveyard, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. Send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard up to the number of Skull Servant and King of the Skull Servants in your graveyard. You might be thinking, oh, so that's a maximum of milling 6 cards off the top of your deck. That's probably not that good. However, there are so many cards in this deck that have the secondary effect that they are named Skull Servant in the graveyard, that I have milled up to 12 cards with this effect, which is incredible in combination with strategies like Lightsworn and Tearlament. Is worth playing all these effectively brick cards in order to access that kind of mill power. So here is the list, and it's pretty flexible because it's 60 cards. You can play as many Lightsworns or Tearlaments as you want. This is just the build that I've settled on right now, and I had some good games with. Even a 6-game win streak in Master Rank, so I wanted to share that with everybody. First, we have the Vanilla Classic Skull Servant. Only 2 copies because you never want to draw this thing. A skeletal ghost that isn't strong but can mean trouble in large numbers. Let's see that trouble today. Then, King of the Skull Servants. This can have extraordinary attack points that nobody on ladder is prepared for. I think players kind of panic a bit when they see that they could potentially be losing to Skull Servant of all things. So it still has that rogue potential that allows you to mess with your opponent a little bit in a healthy way. Then we have White Baking. It becomes Skull Servant in the graveyard, and it offers some protection from battle or card effects for your level 3 or lower zombies. So that's only the Skull Servant monsters in this deck. But if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 2 monsters with different names from your deck to your hand. Except White Baking that are either Skull Servant or mention it, then discard 1 card. So I'm always adding White Lord to hopefully get his mill effect, and White Prince to immediately discard that and mill 2 of the bricks, the Skull Servant and the Lady in White. Because it is a 60 card deck, I'm going to forego the traditional card by card analysis and jump right into the gameplay after highlighting a few of the new key cards that are used in this deck. White Lord we've talked about a little already, and then there's the new Lightsworn support with Weiss, Lightsworn Archfiend, and Lightsworn Dragonling. You can be playing more of this. I'm only playing 1 because I don't really want to craft more right now. Similar situation with Charge of the Light Brigade, which is an older card. This actually mills cards from the top of your deck for cost rather than for effect, so I don't think it's really good enough to be playing more than 1 copy of at the moment. You can search it off of Thrust if your opponent is also playing a 60 card deck, which would make the card you normally want to search off of Triple Tactics Thrust, that grass looks greener, pretty much useless. I'm also experimenting a little with the Black Goat Laughs, which you can mill in this strategy to get its graveyard effect. You can banish this card from the graveyard, declare 1 card name. This turn, neither player can activate the effects of monsters on the field with that original name, so you can use this preemptively to stop a lot of different effects. And you can also set it off of Triple Tactics Thrust to get that first effect of declaring 1 monster card name. This turn, neither player can special summon monsters with that original name except from the graveyard, locking your opponent out of a lot of potential plays, which allows you to go all in on this strategy, which is all about summoning King of the Skull Servants using White Lord's second effect. You can banish this card from the graveyard, target 1 Skull Servant or King of the Skull Servants in your graveyard and special summon it. Or you can also special summon from deck with White Prince's effect, but you lose out on some attack points. So now that we have a better appreciation for how powerful this White Lord card can be, let's get into some of those games. First up, we have a game versus Salamangreat. We are going second. And we've drawn the wolf and no hand traps. No hand traps is to be expected in this deck, but ideally you don't want to draw the 2 of wolf and 60 cards, so they can go through their full combo totally uninterrupted here with the Salamangreat Fire, the Salamangreat Circle into Gazelle, get the field spell out, get the Baelings into the graveyard, bring out the Gazelle, and the Sunlight Wolf. Down the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist card to get the Code of Soul from deck so that they can link summon on our turn. They bring back what they need with Promethean Princess and end on the Raging Phoenix. Usually a game like this is a great opportunity to go and get some water, you know, maybe a coffee, because your opponent is just going to keep comboing, even though all they do is end on 1 counter trap card and 2 monsters with pretty meager attack points, so we can definitely break this. Let's start with Tearlament Scream. That baits out their Omni Negate right away. Then we use that to search the Sulliek and show we have the second Scream. Using the Grief, sending the Rhino Heart, chain blocking with the Scream and the Sulliek. Get Shiren from deck, and then I happened to mill Shiren anyway, so I milled Tear Cash with Rhino Heart instead of Havness, and then we've kicked Kalos, and then they're playing Droplet, okay? Not a big deal. Use Shiren, discard the useless Wolf. Luckily we milled White Baking, so we can search the White Lord and the White Prince, like I was talking about. Mill 2, then we use White Princess as the normal summon, and then we mill 11 cards with White Lord, getting his Trivy Karma, and this is when I thought it's best to use one of the shufflers to force them to activate Code of Soul, get rid of their Promethean Princess, so that we have less to worry about moving forward. They destroy everything, but hey, we're playing Tearlament cards, so we like when those are destroyed by card effect, honestly, and we get to mill enough that we're rebuilding our board here with the Lightsworn cards. And we get a huge King of the Skull Servant with 12,000 attack points. Use Visos on Ritra to search a Tearlament's trap card. Bring back the Snow. I go into Minerva. I slightly misplayed here. I should have used the Minerva before playing the field spell. I forgot that Salamangreat Roar could pop that many cards. I was prepared for it to just pop 2 cards. Use the Thrust to search the Blackout Laughs because that's the last normal spell or trap card in the deck. And maybe there was a way to inflict enough damage to the opponent with King of the Skull Servants, but that's not looking like it's meant to be. So I did 7,700 damage instead. Link it off into Linkuriboh, SP Little Knight, get rid of their field spell, and then end on Typhon. Running out of time here. Bounce back, the only thing they have on board that can contest Typhon, pass back to them. Use the Black Goat to prevent them from using the Salamangreat Raging Phoenix anymore. And knowing that they're going to try to link off this monster to get all their combos going, I just flip that face down with Snow. They destroy the Snow, but they only have those 300 life points left, so this should be pretty easy to wrap up. Use White Lord again to bring back King of the Skull Servants, and that's well over enough damage once again because it has that monstrous attack stat. The second game is a duel with a Fire King Snake Eye deck, so if you thought Salamangreat was tough, wait until you see this fire deck. We are going second again, and we've drawn King of the Skull Servants and 2 of the Lightsworn Archfiend, but nothing that can interrupt our opponent on their turn, so they use their Fire King cards here, pop one of their monsters with a field spell, use the Volcanics effect, and Garunix to get everything they need on board, including the Arvada, it'll be a monster negate. And then they go into Sunlight Wolf here, which I think is a misplay, because I know they want to add back the Kirin, but later they seem to forget to summon IP Masquerena, which would have been way more disruptive than Amblo Whale and a monster negate in passing. So, luckily it's our turn, and oh, another Lightsworn Archfiend, that's okay, because we can send one back with its own effect, and they use Ash Blossom on that, which is actually perfect for us, because now we can use the field spell instead. And they use the Kirin. They probably thought they'd get the pop on the field spell right away, but they don't, so it resolves. Yeah, now they're going to destroy the field spell here, but it's done its work. And they negate Shyren, but that's alright because I have the card destruction to send to the graveyard anyway. Fuse it off into Mud Dragon, which gives us targeting protection for our dark monsters for the entire rest of the turn, which means that none of them can be destroyed with Promethean Princess, so that's sitting useless in the opponent's graveyard. Use the White Lord to mill 5 or 6 there, and luckily get the Trivia Karma. You've already searched the field spell, so it's time for Tearlaman's Grief. Use Reinhardt's effect to send the Havness, so we can go into our Tearlament fusions. And K-Close is the best choice there. And add the Tearlaman's Kashtira. I could have gone for the Mill 8 Feel Great right away, but I didn't want to use K-Close's effect just yet, because I wanted to see how things played out. They tried to Xyz summon, but I was able to disrupt that with SP Little Knight. And oh, look at those great mills, including the Wolf, which gets another body on field, but that's the first non-dark monster we've summoned in a while, so they're able to use Promethean Princess. Oh, we just mill another Wolf, so what was the point in destroying it? Honestly, might as well have just destroyed the Mud Dragon, because then I wouldn't have had the targeting protection, but I guess they weren't thinking that far ahead. Anyway, bring back Snow, and the King of the Skull Servants is there as well. I used Minerva's first effect this time right away, and they see that it's pretty much over for them with the stats that I have on board, and the number of mills in the graveyard, like Snow. So it's time for game 3, and you're probably thinking at this point, hopefully Tristan won the coin toss and he can go first, but nope, that was not meant to be. And I drew Wolf again in 60 cards. I'm only running 2 copies for this very reason, but it doesn't matter. Our opponent's also playing 60 cards, and they're playing Tearlaments and Snake Eyes, so we're gonna have to deal with that. They can pretty much do the full Snake Eye combo uninterrupted here. They don't go for the field spell, they go for the original Sinful Spoils. And then they bring out the Snake Eye Oak and add back Kurikara? Okay, maybe. Well, at least they got their Flamberge on board, so that's what they're aiming for. They link it off into Masquerena. And then they bring back Promethean Princess here. And put Masquerena in the Spell and Trap card zone. And then on Amblo Whale. They don't have the field spell, so this is a little weaker and means we can probably bait out that monster effect from the Flamberge. We put the Wolf back, finally, with Lightsworn Archfiend and mill it, and then they use Called By on that, which is such a weak Called By because it's just going to be another level 4 on my field. Anyway, this prompts out the Flamberge effect, allowing me to search Foolish Burial Goods. I can sense they don't have Ash Blossom, so I go straight for that Grass Looks Greener. And add the White Lord and White Princess there. Send Trivia Karma. Add the field spell. Use that to add Shyren. Use Shyren's effect. Send the Shuffler so that I can manipulate their graveyard. Use White Princess. And, oh, I thought maybe I still had targets for White Prince, but that's okay. I'm still able to mill 8 off of White Lord, including the Black Goat Laughs. I declared IP Masquerena. Maybe I should have declared SP Little Knight, but I didn't want them to go into Apollousa, and I wanted to just prompt out the IP Masquerena action so that I could continue the rest of the turn uninterrupted. They banish Shyren, but that's not too big of a deal. They also panic a little bit and banish Felis Lightsworn Archer. That's not really disruptive because we've still got gas, especially with Snow in the graveyard. Bring out Snow into Minerva, and I'm going to use the Minerva effect, but they use their Snow, and this is their 1 Snow activation because they don't have much else in the graveyard, especially not 7 cards. And so I bring out King of the Skull Servants. I'm thinking its attack is going to be turned to 0 by Linkuriboh, so I'm going to bring out another King of the Skull Servants. And you know what? Why not bring out the 3rd King of the Skull Servants? And now I can deal with the Linkuriboh because I can bounce it with Typhon as the last summon, pushing that back into the extra deck and clearing their field so that I can deal over 8,000 points of damage, or exactly enough, with King of the Skull Servants himself. Ooh, that felt pretty good! So we're back with the deck list, and I think it performed pretty well, especially since I went second in every single one of those games. This deck can also do pretty well going first, as long as you're not interrupted at crucial points, but that resilience is what Tearlament and Lightsworn mill-based decks are known for already. Also, I think you could consider cutting Minerva the Athenian Lightsworn, because I was always using the other Minerva at every opportunity, and I think that having something like Abyss Dweller for the other 60-card decks that you're going to see on ladder that revolve around the Tearlament strategy is essential to winning in that matchup. And I think that having the Black Godlaphs really paid off, so I would not cut that from this list, even if you cut some of the other cards. So, thank you so much for watching, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll keep exploring niche cards like White Lord in the future, and catch you in the next video.